Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So, whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And Payton is my guest today. And Payton comes to us from Colorado. So, Payton, I want to welcome you to the show. I love the hearts that are hanging behind you. So cute.
Thank you.
Would you please begin by sharing a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Payton Geitzenauer. I'm 15 years old. I live in Colorado, and I have one sibling and one dog, and I go to school. I'm in 10th grade, and I used to play basketball.
Okay, awesome. And what kind of dog do you have?
I have a black lab.
Oh, that's a popular kind of dog. And they're such good
Yeah.
dogs, aren't they?
Yes, he's awesome.
Yeah. And what's your dog's name?
His name is Bentley.
Oh, I like that name. Very good. I have a Shih Tzu, and his name is Crew, like pit crew. So,
Oh, that's cute.
yeah, we love our dogs, don't we? For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, Payton, I know that you went to the Tulsa shootout. So, I know that you love motorsports, or you wouldn't have been there. So, how did you get started involved in motorsports?
So, my dad has raced almost his entire life, and I think they've brought me to the racetrack since I was a baby. And I don't think I was interested in it until I was about like 7. And then my dad told me about the quarter midgets that I'm in right now, and he told me there was an arrive and drive that I could go to. So we went, and I tried out a car, and I really liked it. And it was amazing, and I fell in love with it, and I didn't realize I would like it as much as I did. And then my dad was like, well, let's figure out how we can get you a race car. And we basically called my grandma because we were like, we really want to make this work. How should we do it? And my grandma was like, maybe you should work around the neighborhood. So I started working around the neighborhood, and I raised up all the money for my first ever car.
Wow.
And then I started Father's Day weekend of 2021.
Okay. So you walked around the neighborhood and you said, and they knew you because you probably, they all knew who you were. And so you walked around and you said, I'm going to start racing a quarter midget. Would you like to be one of my sponsors, or would you like to help me get started? And people donated money. And do you remember?
I watched a bunch of dogs and babysat. And I think watching the dogs and babysitting was what helped me the most. But I also mowed lawns. And there was one girl who needed me to shovel some rocks around. I just did whatever they wanted me to do around their house.
Okay. That is very cool, Payton. I don't hear that story very often, that, and you were not that old at the time, and you decided, I'm going to work for this. And so you did. It means more to you, I think. If you had to raise the money and do the work to get the car means more to you than if somebody had just handed it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So do you remember how much money you raised?
I believe I raised $2,500, so $2,500.
Wow. That's really a lot.
Yeah.
For considering babysitting and mowing, those are not high-paying jobs. So that's great, Payton. Good for you.
Thank you.
So you race quarter midgets right now. Tell me about your car. What color is it? What number is it? How did you choose your number? Tell me all about your car.
So my car that my dad has is teal and orange, It's like teal orange. There's a little bit of yellow and it's white. That was my first like actual car that I started racing at nationals, and it's my initials are PG, so I chose 13. A lot of people at school have that nickname for me, so I just thought, you know what, 13 will be my number. And then Ashcraft Motorsports, I have a white car for them. And then just recently, I started racing 2 more cars for another family. They're the McNeals, and they live in North Carolina, but their cars are blue and pink. So I've kind of got a bunch of different ones, but
You do, and you race for, I knew you raced for Ashcraft. So tell me how, like, okay, tell me what that all means. So what do you race with Ashcraft? Where do you go? That kind of thing. And then tell me the same about the people in North Carolina and how did you get connected to them? So tell me all about that.
So Mark Ashcraft, I met him my first ever race that I had in Elcott for my first quarter midget race, and he helped my dad out a lot because we were just getting into racing and we didn't really know what we were doing. So Mark and everybody around the track helped us a lot. And then last year, Mark mentioned how his daughter Mem wasn't going to be racing anymore, and her car, he wanted me to run it. So we went out to Elcott and I practiced the car a bunch, and he was like, you know what, yeah, I really want you to race this car. So we signed a contract to be in their team, and from there he's been helping us since last year, the beginning of January, I believe. And he's been with us and helping us. He was helping us before, but he's been with us in Callahan and Elcott and basically everywhere.
And then how did you meet the people in North Carolina?
So they moved back to Colorado last year. 2 years ago. They moved back to Colorado 2 years ago, and we met them when they came and raced at Elcott. And I think that's how we met them. And then last year we started racing nationals with them, and we became close with them. We were like good friends, and they were helping us out too, set up our cars, and they came and gave me like tips for on the track and everything, and their kids gave me a lot of tips to what to do on the track. And then last year at Charlotte in October, they asked us to race their cars, and before we even made a decision, I asked Mark Ashcraft what to do, because first he was our team before I went into anything else. So we asked him how he felt about it, and he thought it was a really good opportunity. So we took it, and in Charlotte, October, I started racing with them, and we're racing with them this year too.
So you race all the time, don't you?
Yeah, all the time. I think this is the most time I've had off, but it's off season. Off season, so.
Well, they call it the off season, but you're probably still busy doing all kinds of stuff. So when you race,
yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff.
Go ahead.
We're doing a lot of stuff for our sponsors right now since it's off season and we're not racing a lot. We're doing a lot of stuff for our sponsors to show them that we're here for them as well.
So tell me, what is it that you're doing? Is it like social media, or you're taking your car and what do you do? How do you promote your sponsors?
So yesterday, actually, we went to the main event, and we went to a Daytona 500 party for the NASCAR race, and we were there showing off who our sponsors were, and we were also raising money for me to go to the Vegas race, the first national of the year. And we were they were all like, how does this help you and all this stuff? And then we were like, well, this is our sponsors, and this is how I'm going to get to Vegas, because it really helps me, because it's pretty expensive. So all of our sponsors help us, and we were showing them off and promoting them to all the people who are locally, who can go to our sponsors locally. And then last weekend, I Heart Mac and Cheese sponsors us, and their grand opening for down here in Colorado Springs, they had it last weekend, and we were there showing off what we do and supporting I Heart Mac and Cheese.
Now, I've not heard of I Heart Mac and Cheese. That must be a new franchise, and it must be all kinds of mac and cheese. I can't even imagine what that's like. I'm going to have to Google that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, very fun sponsors for sure. Fun activities to do for them. Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
So do you have a favorite track, like a home track or a favorite track, or do you prefer to travel?
I love to travel. I love traveling to all the NASCAR because we race in the NASCAR parking lots. I think that's the best like ever. But I love my home track because it's where I started and it's what I know. So I think my favorite track is probably Elcott, my home track, just because I've been there since I started.
Yeah. That's where your heart is, but you love going to those other tracks. So, what's your favorite thing about being a race car driver?
I think going fast and beating all the boys on the track that say I can't beat them.
Hmm. Yeah, that gives you some
Yeah.
satisfaction, doesn't it? And it
Yes.
doesn't even have to be a boy. It could be a parent. It could be another girl that just doesn't
Yeah.
think that you're that good. And then when you win, I always say, let your car do the talking. You let that car win, and you don't have to say a word. That's just how it goes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, you're what'd you say, 15? You're 15 years old, so you're still young, but do you think racing is something that you want to do for a long time?
Yeah, I hope so. I would like to continue growing in it and going with racing. Me and my dad talk about this all the time. We would love to when he can race with me and my brother because we love to all race, and right now he can't race with us. So we are very excited when we can grow up and he can race with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So your brother races as well,
Yeah, he started when he was 5 in quarter midgets.
and he's younger than you?
Yeah, he's 7.
Okay. So but you don't have to race against him,
No, not yet, because he's in the junior division.
right? And you're in the older division. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that'll be fun too when you and he can race against each other.
Yeah.
I've talked to a few kids, siblings who race against each other, and the one girl said to me, "Well, we're sisters, but when we're on the track, we forget about that."
Yeah.
That's kind of funny for sure. Um, so you're racing quarter midgets. What would be the next step for you after quarter midgets?
Yeah. So I have a 600 micro sprint, just like the other girls on my team, and I'll
Hmm.
be moving up to those. But I want, like, the end goal is to be in sprint cars.
I hope you do because there are not enough girls in the higher levels of the sprint cars.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraging you to do that because I want to see more women in the World of Outlaws and High Limits and all those places, showing those men that
Yeah.
they can
That's
do it too.
yeah.
Is that
That's
your
my
goal?
dream.
Yeah, that's your dream. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's been your biggest challenge in being a driver, or like maybe what was the hardest thing for you to learn, or on the track, off the track, people picking on you? What's been the hardest thing for you in motorsports?
I think it was hard because I started at an older age than most of the drivers that I go against to do. So I think it was hard to like catch up to them almost because I was still learning and figuring out the cars and they're over here way more advanced than I was. So I think the biggest challenge was to get to where the kids I'm competing against were. And I think because I've only had so much time, I've only been racing for 3 years. So to be competing with these kids who've been racing for almost 10 now is a big challenge.
Yeah, it'd be a big jump for you to
Yeah.
try to catch up.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, did you ever feel like you didn't fit in when you started racing, or everybody
No,
accepted you?
I think everybody accepted me. It was a lot of kids, so it was easy to get along with everybody. But obviously, at first, it was a little hard to start talking to everybody and just being normal with everybody like I am now.
Hmm.
But I think that was just because we didn't know each other yet. And then, I mean, there was a couple. like kids who were mean and like, oh, you can't race and like you're bad at it. But then once we got closer and they realized that like, no, it's okay, I'm not bad, they all kind of realized like, no, she's good. And then we all became friends, and since then we've all been pretty good. Yeah, I mean, like, we talk trash to each other sometimes, but obviously because we're competitors on the racetrack. But other than that, I think everybody's pretty much good friends.
Yeah, that's good. It's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking, so I love to read. I've always loved to read ever since I was a little kid. And so for some reason, I just had this thought go through my head one day that I wonder if there's any books out there about girls that race. And so I Googled and I didn't really find anything, not what I was looking for. I was looking for what they call chapter books. You know what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you did. So I decided, maybe I'm going to write one book and see how it goes. So I'm just in the process of finishing the last two chapters of a book about some girls that race carts, quarter midgets, carts, whatever you could replace whatever they're driving with, whatever. And it's funny because your story is pretty much what the book is, because a girl moved to a new town. She had never raced before. She started racing with kids that had been racing a long time. There were some boys that weren't very nice to her. Then they ended up all being friends. I think I wrote your story, Payton, without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to have to send you an advance copy so you can tell me if I was on the mark or not with the book. So that's kind of funny. So, do you help work on your carts, or are you learning? I'm sure, or who helps you with your carts?
So my dad works on them a lot. And when we're home and we're working on them, setting them up for the next race, I'm out there the whole time helping. But when we're at the racetrack, we have a bunch of people helping my dad. We have a guy named Andrew and like Mark, obviously. And then I'll be there cleaning the cars and helping fix the cars during the racetrack. But half the time I'm sitting at the racetrack watching. I help a lot when I'm at home mostly.
Okay. So, when you're at the track, it's really super busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. What does your typical day look like when you have a race? Like, you get up, do you eat? Do you not eat? What's your typical day look like when you have a race?
Normally my mom wakes me up because I don't like waking up early in the mornings. So my mom wakes me up. I lay in bed for a little bit. I get up, get ready, and then my mom makes breakfast for my brother. But I normally on race days I don't eat until after racing because I get so nervous that I can't eat. So I normally just don't eat. I go unload the trailer with my dad, and then um, go to pit meeting or whatever we have to go to, and then set up the cars if we need to, and then get my suit on and get ready to race.
So, do you have any superstitions? Like, do you always wear the same shirt or the same socks or anything
Um,
like that?
no, I don't really wear the same shirt or the same socks, but I do have like this. It's in my race suit pocket, and it's like a heart rock, and it's supposed to be my great grandpa gave it to me, and it's supposed to be like good luck or something. So it's always in there. And I also I lost it. I had like this tiny dinosaur, and it was accidentally in my pocket one time, and I won both of my races when that dinosaur was in my pocket. But then when I was changing out of my race suit, somehow it got out of my pocket and I lost it. And ever since then, like the season was not so great. So I tell my mom all the time that I was struggling because I lost my dinosaur.
What kind of dinosaur was it?
It was just like a stegosaurus, little tiny dinosaur that was in my pocket.
Was it a special color so that,
Yeah, it
or
was teal.
teal? That's funny. Well, maybe you'll find one, or
Maybe.
you never know. But that's kind of cool. I haven't heard about a dinosaur yet, so that's fun. I wish you had not lost it for sure.
Yeah.
So, we all have bad days when we're at the racetrack. Some are better than others. what do you do when things don't go right? Let's say your car broke or somebody ran into you or whatever might have happened. How do you handle things when they don't go right?
Normally I get out of the car and my dad will talk to me first, and I'm very bad at not crying when I get frustrated. So normally my dad will be talking to me, and when my dad's talking to me, I'm not crying. But then I get out of the car and it's like it all hits and I start crying. And then my mom tells me to leave my helmet on and just shut my visor and walk to the trailer, because if I show that I'm disappointed or I show that I'm not like taking the disappointment well, then it could always have a different view on me to the
Mhm.
other people outside. So I normally keep my helmet on, shut the visor, and just walk to the trailer, and then I'll talk to my parents in the trailer and just stay in there until I'm all good and
Yeah.
better.
That's a good plan. Good for your mom because, especially people that maybe I know you're successful and you're a good racer, so you're always going to have people who are going to not wish bad for you, but who are going to be like, oh, she's not doing good today, so now she's crying. You know how people can be, especially. I'm sorry, but sometimes the parents are worse than the kids, and so that's a good way to handle it. Is go away where nobody can see, and everybody deserves a good cry if they feel like it. So
Yeah,
don't feel bad about that. But we just have to learn, don't we, that things just don't go right, and that's how life is. Things just don't go right. You ask your parents, they'll tell you. The hot water heater breaks or the toilet doesn't flush or whatever.
yeah,
And so things just don't always go right, but we have to learn how to handle that stuff. So I love talking to girls that are in motorsports because I always feel like, though, that they are more mature, that they're a little more grown up than some their age, just because they have had to deal with adversity and challenges. So, how do you feel? Maybe has motorsports changed you, or for the good, or what have you learned by being involved in motorsports that you think has really helped you in life? Maybe.
yeah. So before I got into racing, I was a very shy kid. Like I wasn't talking to anybody. I was always at my mom's hip, never, never going out and talking to new people. And then I got into racing and met this one girl. She doesn't race anymore, but she helped me get to know everybody around the racetrack. And then after that, I think I started opening up to not even just people at the racetrack, but to everybody. And then I got more comfortable with talking to people and being out there. And then I was still kind of shy until after 8th grade. I went into basketball, and my dad told me that in racing, I need to be more aggressive because I let people walk all over me on the racetrack. And then I did basketball because he thought that if I did basketball, it would help me be aggressive. And after that year of basketball, it helped me be more aggressive, like he said it would. And it also helped me like talk to people about the car. So I used to get off the track and be like, I don't know how to tell you what the car was doing. And then I learned how to talk to them about the car, and it really helped me because like since I was shy, it was very hard to speak about what I was thinking. And I feel like motorsports really helped me get past that because I have to talk to people about the race car or it's not going to change. And
Hmm.
so, and traveling and meeting a bunch of people has really helped because not just because I don't know them doesn't mean that I don't have to talk to them, because that's what I used to think, like, oh, they don't know me, they don't want to talk to me. But now it's really helped because I've traveled and met all these new people and talked to all these people about my race car, and yeah, it's really helped me not be so shy.
That's great for sure. What a good thing to learn, and that's going to help you the whole rest of your life. So that's awesome. So what are your classmates or your friends who don't race? What do they think about you racing?
They all think it's cool. They all think that I'm like super rich because I race cars, but that's not the case. But they also think that like since I race quarter midgets, they don't. I just race like a little kid go kart, but because they haven't really seen it, so they don't really know what to expect. And they all race dirt bikes, so they all think that they could beat me because they race dirt bikes. But I think quarter midgets and dirt bikes are way different. So
They're way different.
Yeah.
There's nothing alike about
Yeah.
that other than it takes a driver to do it. I mean, seriously. So yeah, don't let them give you that, because we know that racing quarter midgets takes a lot of talent and takes a lot of learning. And they need to come and watch, or maybe they should come to a try and ride and check it out and just try one
Yeah.
time and see what that's like for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is motorsports a good sport for girls to be involved in?
Yeah, I love it because I think a lot of girls, like, there's not a ton of girls in it, but I love how most of the girls in it are like beating pretty much everybody. But I think it's awesome because it's more like of a mind sport. So you have to, it's not like basketball, it's not a physical sport like that. So really anybody could try it out.
Hmm.
And it's also not like a sport that you have to go after school in and practice, which is good because especially if you're busy, you can't go to a 2-hour practice.
Yeah.
Which so I like that part. But
Yeah. It's more of an out of school, you know, family activity more so than a school sport for sure. Um, it takes a lot of work and a lot of seat time. That's what we call it, isn't it? Seat
yes,
time. In basketball, it's practice, or court time, I guess you could say.
yeah,
But yeah, it is a lot different. And it does take, you still have to be in shape as far as strong and your arms and everything strong, but it's not running up and down the court for sure. And so, it is a whole different thing. And your mind has a lot to do with your success. If you
yeah,
think you're going to lose, you're going to lose. If you think you're going to win, you have way better chance of winning.
yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think I am very much like I hate to say that. Oh, I'm gonna go beat everybody and I'm gonna win because I don't like to have a huge head because I like snooty, then you're gonna get brought down really quick.
Hmm.
But I like to go out there with like I'm not gonna lose because I don't let myself lose unless something happens. But I go out there with like, oh, I can win and I can win this. You gotta try. But I also don't go out there like I'm gonna win it because I hate being too snooty. But if I go out there and say, oh, I'm gonna lose, then I do lose because I don't have the right headspace
Right.
and I don't have the good mindset that I should have.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, is there anyone involved in racing that you've kind of looked up to, or like it's like, oh, I'd like to be like her or him. It could be a man. Somebody you've looked up to, like maybe that's been a mentor to you.
Yeah, I think like any girl in 600s right now, I think is very good to look up to. And you said guy, I think Kyle Larson because he's racing everything right now, and I
Mhm.
think it's amazing how he can get in any car and be capable of winning that race that he's in.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle Larson is just a step above everybody
Hmm.
else. And, you know, he didn't do all that great yesterday. Wasn't his fault, some of it, and that's what happens. Um, but overall, there's no driver like him. And so,
Yeah,
and the fact that he tries, he doesn't say, well, I'm not going to do IndyCar because I've never driven IndyCar. I won't be any good. Heck no. He's like, no, I want to try it. And he did really well last year. And
yeah,
so, yeah, that's a really good one to look up to. And I think he's a good person and he's a good dad. So
hmm
that's a good person to look up to. I like him too, for sure. So have you gotten any advice from anyone, or maybe a favorite quote, anything like that you kind of sticks with you?
um, I think I don't really have like a certain like actual quote, but like everything happens for a reason. That one we say a lot because a lot of things happen and change. Like something could happen today and completely change tomorrow. So I think that's really good, and it also helps with racing because it tells me
Mhm.
not to expect everything because anything can change. But also anything really that my parents say to me like to get me up because if I'm disappointed, they're always like, here, like, you can't be disappointed because you're learning, and you can't just like be mad at yourself. You're always learning. You can always learn from your mistakes and anything that happens on the racetrack and off the racetrack.
Yeah, and what you learn on the racetrack and off the racetrack at the at the track, but not on racing, is something that sticks with you, and you take it into life with you, whether you're 15 or 25 or 80, and so it's nice that you realize that there's a lot of things that you're learning that even if you never race again, that has really helped you grow into the person that you are, and that's a good thing for sure. So how about a favorite race memory? Could be good or bad.
Yeah, I think I have a lot, but one of my favorite ones is probably it was actually last year when we were in Pueblo, and one of our national races that we were going to go to got canceled. So our cars were actually not in Colorado. So we weren't going to be able to race them. And my dad took a car that was in the garage, and it's been sitting in the garage since I first ever started racing. And we brought it to the racetrack. It basically had nothing in it. And we put it together. And that night we stayed up super late, put it together. And then that morning I went and won the heat and the A main.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great memory because you weren't expecting, you were just thinking, oh, we're just going to go have a fun day. And then you had a really successful day.
Yeah.
That's a very cool memory. Yeah. So, when you go to the track, do you spend time like, are the girls that you race against and maybe even the guys, are you like friends? Do you spend time with them when you're not racing? Or what do you do, how do you interact with the other kids that race?
Well, when we're at the racetrack, we try to hang out with each other when we're not racing, but a lot of us race a bunch of cars. So it's kind of hard to hang out with each other like during racing. But after racing, we basically all get together and hang out. I feel like every time we're at the racetrack, somebody has a football in the middle of the racetrack, and we're all throwing a football, just hanging out with each other. And we all walk around, hang out. I think we had a Pikes Peak National that we were at. It was actually at my home track. And some kid bought a ton of water guns, and we all had a huge water gun fight. Like, everybody hangs out after racing. But when we leave the racetrack, we all have each other's number. We all text each other. But since we all live all over the country, we don't really see each other other than if we're racing or at a banquet. So we all just basically hang out at the racetrack.
But you do stay in touch, and that's good because it's
Yeah.
those are going to be lifelong friends, Payton. I mean, even like you said, you were friends with a girl and she doesn't race anymore, but you're still friends with her and you still stay in touch with her. And so these are the people I don't want to burst your bubble, but these are the people that are going to be your lifelong friends, probably more so than some of the kids you go to school with, because you have such a bond with these kids. Makes such a huge difference. Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about the Tulsa Shootout. What did you love about it? How did you do? How many cars did you race? Is this the first time you've ever been there?
Yeah, so I was at the Tulsa Shootout supporting my team. I didn't get to race this year because I haven't raced 600s yet, but I was there supporting all week. I left Colorado with the Ashcrafts, and I drove all the way to Tulsa with them. And so I was really there just supporting and being around them. And then this year I'll race it. But I loved being there before I had to race it because I got to learn what it's about. Like, I got to watch them learn for their first ever time. So now when I go there, I know what to expect and how to do it. And I think it really helped to be there before I actually raced it because now I understand it from an outsider's point of view. And I also understand how big of a race it is now, and it shows how important this one race is to pretty much everybody who races 600s.
Yeah, what you did this year by going and observing, you probably learned more or as much as the girls that raced. because
Yeah.
you were able to kind of sit back. You didn't have any pressure on you about racing. You didn't have to be here at a certain time or here at a certain time. You didn't have to fix your car or do any of that. You were able to just kind of take in the whole experience, the atmosphere, the energy, all those things. And so next year when you go, that won't be anything new or different for you. You'll be like, oh, yeah, this is a huge race, but now I can concentrate on actually racing and not
Yeah.
all the other stuff that goes with it. So that was great that you could go, and the food looked really good too. You guys had quite a spread set up there.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's a fun part of it too, is all that good food you get to eat.
Yes.
So Peyton, how do you use social media? It's all about that nowadays, promoting yourself, your team, all that. Do you do it? Does your mom do it? Who does your social media, and do you use Facebook, Instagram? What do you do?
So me and my mom really work together with the social media, and my dad helps too. But we have a Facebook and Instagram and a TikTok all under Keeper Racing. So it's our family team that we have and that me and my mom help run. My mom runs a lot of the like updates for racing and like what we're doing outside of racing and all that stuff. And then on my other team, we also have Ashcraft Motorsports that Mark Ashcraft runs. So
Yeah. Now tell
yeah,
me the name of your page again.
Keeper Racing,
Keeper, like Keeper.
KEPA.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
Yeah,
Kepa Racing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it stands for Kyle, Elizabeth, Peyton, Austin.
Yeah. I realized that after you said it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Um, is there anything that we haven't talked about, Peyton, that you want to make sure that we mentioned? Did we miss anything about your story or your wins or anything at all? And you are going to be racing a 600 this year.
Yeah, I'll be racing quarter midgets and a 600. So
Okay.
I'll be traveling all over the country for NASCAR Youth with my quarter midget, and then I'll be racing more locally for my 600 just so that I can learn it before I fully go into it full time.
Okay. So do you ever get close to Michigan when you race quarter midgets?
Yeah, we race in Indiana and
Okay.
Illinois.
You're going to have to let me know when you come that direction because that's not that far for me.
We'll
I
be in
love,
Indy in July.
okay. Well, you'll have to have your mom send me your schedule or let me know because I love going to watch girls that race that I've interviewed,
Yeah.
and so I'd love to come and watch. And if you're not that far away, so that would be a lot of fun. I'm starting to get my schedule ready for the summer. It doesn't seem like I should be because it's snowing like you wouldn't believe outside right now. I
Yeah.
think we've got about 6 or 8 inches of snow on the ground, and it's snowing right now and it's blowing sideways. That's how bad the wind is today. And so, yeah, I don't like that part of it. I want summer to come, but I am starting to get my calendar ready because that makes me feel like it's going to be here soon and the snow will
Soon.
be gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
think I think we're just starting to get our schedule ready, so
okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, that would be great. So when you're on social media, if you tag Women's Motorsports Network, that helps me follow you better. I did get hacked last week, and
Oh,
so I've had to start new pages. And so one of them is under IWMA Nation because that stands for the International Women's Motorsports Association, which I've had since 2017. So just look for me and tag me when you do that. And then Peyton, stay in touch. Let me know what you're up to and how you're doing because I really enjoyed having all you girls on when you were at the Tulsa shootout. And so I'd love to stay in touch and keep up with your racing and all the things that you're doing. Okay.
okay, I will.
All right. Anything else you want to share before we hang up?
I would like to thank all my sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have Ashcraft Motorsports, AMS Oil, Keepa Cleaning, Gray Line Tours, Graphic FX, Mark Ashcraft, Mom and Dad, and my brother, my grandpa, my grandma, all my family.
Okay. Yeah, that's important. We got to get those people give them some pats on the back, don't we? Because you couldn't do it without them.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Payton, you have a good rest of your week and stay warm out there in Colorado, and send the snow somewhere else, not to Michigan, because you guys kind of tend to send that snow up our way. So, but you have a good rest of your week, and make sure you stay in touch.
Okay, I will. Have a good day.
Thank you. That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind the scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.